Imagine for a moment, life, once full of travel, events and commitments that symbolized power and influence, is suddenly limited to the borders of the place you once called home. What happens in the heart of someone who has always been on the move, now forced to stop? Jair Bolsonaro, the man who led a nation, now finds himself facing an insurmountable barrier, not physical, but symbolic. Your passport, a small document of extraordinary weight, is blocked. But is the real prison being prevented from traveling? Or is it something deeper, more emotional, that transcends the materiality of paper and stamps? As he watches life unfold beyond the borders he cannot cross, the weight of limitation hits hard. Does he miss the days when applause echoed through packed halls, or is it the deafening silence of his new reality that confronts him? Isolation is not just geographic, it is also an internal journey, a battle with the choices of the past that now shape the walls of the present. There is something deeply human about this moment of forced pause. For those who support him, perhaps it is a time for reflection and strategy. For those who criticize him, an inevitable reckoning. But what about him, the man behind the leader? What feelings emerge? Pain, regret, hope. The blocked passport is more than a symbol of restriction. It is a metaphor for everything we leave aside in the frantic race for conquest. Does he, in this moment of immobility, think about the unfulfilled promises, the alliances made and broken? Or does, in the midst of the storm, a small light emerge, a glimmer of transformation? In life, we all face moments when our own decisions or circumstances put us before insurmountable barriers. How we react defines who we are. Perhaps, like Bolsonaro, we need to face immobility, look within, and find the strength to transform what seems to be the end into a new beginning. And so, the real question is not where can he go, but who can he become? In the midst of limitations, the opportunity to redefine the future arises, both for himself and for those who observe from afar, reflecting on their own invisible prisons. What do we learn when the movement stops? The answer, perhaps, only comes when we allow ourselves to stop. Imagine this scenario. Jair Bolsonaro, sitting in a silent room, faces the reality that prevents him from crossing borders. In front of him is Michele Bolsonaro, his wife. The weight of her decision is reflected in her gaze, full of silent questions. Why me? Will I measure up? What does this really mean? He knows he can't go. The doors are closed to him, but there is something that can still be done. And in a gesture loaded with meaning, he chooses to send Michele, not as a replacement, but as an extension of everything he wanted to be at that moment. What was going through your mind when making this decision? Was it absolute trust, or a silent cry for help, for redemption? For Michele, this journey is not just a physical journey. It is an emotional challenge, a responsibility that transcends the simple act of acting. She needs to carry, in every word and gesture, the essence of those who were left behind. How does she deal with this? Do you, deep down, feel the crushing weight of being the bridge between a man and a moment he can never experience in person? At the airport, when saying goodbye, he doesn't say much, but silence speaks louder than any speech. Michele leaves, but not just as the former president's wife. It becomes a symbol of sacrifice, loyalty, and, in a way, hope. When you board the plane, you take with you not only luggage, but also the dreams and need for redemption of someone who cannot speak directly for themselves. As the plane crosses the skies, Michele reflects. She thinks about what brought her here. Love, commitment, perhaps even a sense of duty that she didn't ask for, but accepted. The clouds below seem to mirror the confusion of thoughts. What should she say? How should you act? Will it be enough? Reaching your destination is just the beginning. When positioning herself in front of a grand event, with prominent figures and attentive eyes, Michele knows that her presence is not just personal. Every gesture, every word will be seen as something bigger. There will be judgments, criticisms, and even supportive looks. And through it all, she will have to find her own strength, not as someone's replacement, but as who she really is. As the journey progresses, something changes within her. Michele realizes that although she was sent on someone else's behalf, the experience is deeply her own. She discovers a strength she may not have known she possessed. Each suspicious look challenges her to prove that she is more than just Bolsonaro's wife. And that's when the truth emerges, wrath transformation. Because at the end of the day, it's not about who sent it or the circumstances that led it there. It's about what she chooses to do with this unique opportunity to represent something bigger than herself. When Michele returns to Brazil, something in her has changed. And perhaps upon seeing her, Jair realizes that he too needs to change. Her journey becomes a mirror for him, and in some ways for all of us. Because in the end, the most important question is not about the journey someone imposes on us, but about how we use it to become stronger, more aware, and perhaps more human. And you? When was the last time you allowed yourself to grow while carrying something bigger than yourself? Michele Bolsonaro arrives at Donald Trump's inauguration. The place is filled with people from different backgrounds, all there for a purpose, a worldview that they believe they share. But in the midst of so many faces, she can't help but feel alone. After all, she is not there for herself, but as a representative of someone who could not be present. As she watches the stage being set up, Michele feels the impact of that moment. It's not just the inauguration of a world leader, it is an event full of symbolism, divisions, hopes, and fears. What does Donald Trump symbolize for the world? And for her, at that moment, what does he mean? The ceremony begins. Words of strength and promise are spoken, but Michele is trapped in her own thoughts. She remembers the conversation she had with Jair before leaving. He was confident, almost casual, but she saw a hint of vulnerability in his eyes, something he might not have known was there. Does he also feel the weight of being away? Does he trust her, or did he just have no other choice? When Trump finally takes the stage to give his speech, Michele feels her chest tighten. What he says is powerful, but she can't help but think about how those words resonate in her own context. Leadership, sacrifice, hope, words that sound so big but are, at their core, incredibly personal. As applause fills the space, she asks herself, what does it take to lead? Is it strength? Is it courage? Or is it something deeper, something we can't always see? She looks around and realizes that for many there, Trump represents a dream, a promise of change. But for others, it is a cause for concern and uncertainty. And it makes her reflect on the role of all leaders, including her own husband. How can someone carry so much love and hate at the same time? Is it possible to be perfect for everyone? When the ceremony ends, Michele feels a mix of emotions. On the one hand, there is a certain relief at having accomplished your mission. On the other, there is restlessness. She knows she represented Jair, but did she represent herself? Did you find your own voice among so many bigger voices? The experience changes her in ways she still can't fully understand. Upon returning to Brazil, she carries more than stories about the inauguration of a president. She carries questions, reflections, a new look at the world and at herself. When she looks at Jair, she realizes that something has changed in him too. Maybe when he saw her take her place, he saw something different, something he never noticed before. And in that moment, they share a silence that says more than any words. And you? What would you do if you were faced with a moment that redefines not only who you are, but what you believe you are capable of doing? Life, like this possession, is full of great moments that challenge us, that make us look inside and discover strengths we didn't know we possessed. In the end, it's not about being present at an event, but about what we take away from it. What would you take? Elon Musk's presence at any event is like a magnet for attention. He's not just a billionaire, he's a living symbol of innovation, ambition, and controversy. But what happens when someone who is seen as a world-renowned visionary sits next to ordinary people, as human as he is? Does Musk also feel the weight of crushing expectations that the world places on his shoulders? As he walks through the site of Donald Trump's inauguration, all heads turn. There is something magnetic in the way he presents himself, as if he carries within him not only his achievements, but also the dreams of billions of people. But what about behind that distant look, that confident posture? Is there a man struggling, like the rest of us, to find meaning in what he does? Michele Bolsonaro, present at the same event, cannot help but watch him. Elon Musk is there, but he doesn't seem to be actually present. Could it be that even in a crowd, he feels the loneliness of someone who is misunderstood? After all, behind every grandiose idea, every rocket launched into space, every word about saving humanity, there is a human being with doubts, fears, and weaknesses. As Trump's words echo around the room, Musk is motionless, as if he were miles away, lost in thought. What was he thinking at that moment? Is it designing a future for all of us? Or are you wondering about your own purpose? For many, Elon Musk is a hero. For others, he is a controversial figure surrounded by criticism and mistrust. But deep down, he's only human. Like any of us, he probably has nights when he can't sleep, moments when he feels like the weight of the world is too much. And this makes us wonder, how far are we willing to go to achieve our dreams? Is it worth carrying so much weight to make the impossible possible? At that event, while Trump talks about a promising future and Michele reflects on her personal journey, the figure of Elon Musk becomes a mirror. It is a reminder that no matter how much we achieve, we are still vulnerable. We still have unanswered questions. We still need connection. Michele wonders, does he, with all his success, also feel fear? Does he, like me, question whether he is on the right path? These questions don't have immediate answers, but they resonate deeply in your mind. And you, how would it feel to look into the eyes of someone who seems to have everything, but who deep down may also be searching for something that can't be bought or built? The event ends, but Musk's presence leaves a mark. He didn't say much, but his presence was enough to generate deep reflections. Michele returns home, thinking not only about her mission, but about how all of us, at some point, are seeking something bigger than ourselves. Whether it's Elon Musk with his space travels or an ordinary person with his silent dreams, we are all driven by something that keeps us going. And what keeps us moving? Is it the search for the impossible or the hope that one day we will find something that completes us? Perhaps the answer lies in the path itself, because in the end, it doesn't matter whether we are creating rockets or simply trying to find our place in the world. We are all, at our core, explorers, driven by dreams and hopes that make us deeply human. The event is underway, but the air is charged with something that no one can explain. It's as if the words spoken on stage were just a prelude to something bigger, something invisible but inevitable. All eyes are attentive, but thoughts are scattered, trying to decipher what is to come. Will it be a good surprise, or will it be a moment that changes everything irrevocably? Michele Bolsonaro, present at the event, feels this weight. When she looks around, she sees serious faces, expressions that hide as many emotions as the ones she herself tries to control. By his side, figures like Elon Musk and other world leaders share that moment of suspense, but each with their own expectations and uncertainties. Do they also feel that knot in their chest, that anxiety that mixes curiosity and fear? Donald Trump's words echo through the room, full of promise and conviction, but it's what isn't being said that captures attention. Michele notices that the silence between sentences seems more charged than the words themselves. She tries to focus, but she can't ignore the feeling that something is about to happen. As the event progresses, small signs begin to emerge. A change in Trump's expression, a whisper among the guests, exchanged glances that say more than 1,000 words, and then a moment of pause. Everyone holds their breath. What's coming? Will it be something that will unite us or divide us even more? The unexpected happens, but not as everyone imagined. It is not a dramatic turn of events or an explosion of events. It's something much more subtle, more human, a gesture, a word, or even a silence that seems to echo in the hearts of everyone present. The surprise is not in the event itself, but in the way it touches people, in the way it makes everyone reflect on their own choices, their own paths. Michele, who was initially there just to act, realizes that this moment is more than politics, more than formality. It's about connection, about how great events can, unexpectedly, make us look within. What did she learn there? Was the expectation she carried about the event or about herself and us? What do we hope will happen in our lives? Are we ready for the surprises that destiny has in store for us? As the event comes to an end, the atmosphere of expectation changes. It's no longer about what could have happened, but about what was felt, about how that moment touched each person in a unique way. And so everyone goes back to their lives, but they take with them something that cannot be measured or explained. An internal transformation. Internal, a change of perspective that only a moment so full of meaning could provide. The real surprise in life, after all, is not in what we expect, but in what we find when we allow ourselves to feel, live, and learn from what is before us. Michele Bolsonaro's journey to represent Jair at such a significant moment is not just about politics. It's about loyalty, about maintaining a bond, even when circumstances seem to conspire against it. But what does this connection really symbolize? Is it an alignment of ideas, or is there something deeper, something that touches on what it is to be human? As the ceremony continues, it is impossible to ignore the symbolism that hangs in the air. Michele is there not just for herself, but as a reminder that some alliances transcend time and adversity. From afar, Jair Bolsonaro watches. He knows that even when he is absent, his presence is felt in another way, in Trump's words, in the looks of those present, and mainly in the figure of his wife. But does he feel the weight of this connection? Do you understand everything it means? And do we in our lives value the connections that endure difficult times? There is something deeply human about watching leaders who, despite their failures and controversies, find mutual support on their journeys. The connection between Bolsonaro and Trump is not perfect, is marked by challenges, criticism, and differences. But there, in that moment, she is unshakable. And this leads us to reflect. What sustains the most important alliances in our lives? Is it agreement, unconditional support, or is it the ability to weather the storms together? As Trump speaks, Michele realizes the power of these words. They are not just promises for a nation, but an echo of something bigger. The belief that partnerships, however unlikely they may seem, can create bridges across seas of uncertainty. And in that moment, she feels that her presence there is more than a representation. It is a symbol of commitment. Michele's journey was not easy. She faced criticism, doubts, looks that judged her intentions. However, by being there, by maintaining her poise in the face of everything, she proves something to herself, and perhaps to everyone around her, that the strongest connections are not those that escape challenges, but those that face them head-on. Front. And you, what are you willing to do to protect the connections that matter most in your life? At the end of the event, Michele returns to Brazil, but she doesn't come back the same. Something changed in her, just as something changed in Jair, when he saw that her absence did not break the bond he built. The connection between him and Trump, so symbolic and yet so human, is a reminder that true alliances are built on persistence, not perfection. And as we reflect on this, we are led to an inevitable question. What are the connections in our lives that deserve to be strengthened, protected, nurtured, even when circumstances seem impossible? The answer perhaps lies in what we value most. Because in the end, what connects us is not just what we share, but what we are willing to face together. Michele Bolsonaro returns to Brazil, bringing with him not only the experience of having participated in a historic event, but an emotional weight that no one else can understand. She gets off the plane with a different look, a mix of tiredness and transformation. What happened during those days changed something inside her, something that even she can't fully describe. When meeting Jair, there are no words immediately, just a look that carries everything. The challenges they faced, the choices they made, and the hope that even in times of uncertainty, the connection between them remains firm. He notices the strength she has brought back, and for a moment, perhaps he sees in her something he has never seen before, the resilience of someone who not only represents him, but who complements him. But what have we learned from all this? Michele's journey, Trump's inauguration, the presence of figures like Elon Musk, the climate of expectation. Everything is connected in a single message. The most significant moments in our lives are not about what happens, but about what that we feel, learn, and carry forward. For Jair, physical absence forced him to reflect on his own emotional presence. For Michele, responsibility taught her that strength and vulnerability can coexist. And for everyone watching from near or far, the event was a reminder that the connections that really matter are the ones that challenge and transform us. And you, what do you carry from your own journeys? In the end, Michele and Jair's story is like all of ours, full of ups and downs, challenges and overcomings, moments that test who we are and push us to be better. The connection between Bolsonaro and Trump, between Michele and Jair, between each person who participated in this event, is a reflection of something the greatest, something that unites us as humans. And that's where the beauty lies, in the strength we find in relationships, in the struggles we face together, and in the hope that always remains, even in the most difficult times. Because in the end, it doesn't matter where we are or who we are. What truly defines us is how we choose to connect, grow, and move forward with love, courage, and hope in our hearts.